What is up, guys? So I got a request to do the G8 versus the Moto G8 Plus. So these phones really don't compare that well, but I'm still gonna do it anyway because my subscriber asked. So basically, you can get the G8 for around 200 locked on AT&T, and you can get it for 260 unlocked on Amazon. Links will be down below. In the G8 Plus, you can get for around 200 bucks. So they're kind of even in price depending on if you get the locked version or the cons of each phone. So first off is the build quality, and the build quality is obviously going to go to the G8. You just have a glass and metal phone. It definitely feels premium, more premium than the G8. Now I do really like the G8's design, even though it is a plastic phone, but I usually prefer the kind of heavier phones, and you just can't beat glass and metal phones. So you know, for the design, they both have really great designs, and also the G8's camera setup is flat, which is something I really appreciate. You rarely see that on any smartphones these days. Now the G8 Plus has a 400 ppi, and it is an IPS display, and it actually is a really good display. I just prefer the deeper blacks on the OLED displays, and plus you get the always on functionality, which is something I always appreciate, which you don't have on this IPS display. But I know some people don't like the OLED displays because of the screen burn-in problems, but like I said in the last video, you never really see that on these LG phones. I see them a lot with Samsung phones, but not necessarily with LG phones. So you know, for the display, I really prefer the G8, but you do have a kind of a water drop notch on the G8 Plus, which is something I really like over the bigger notch on the G8. So I do really like that. But as far as the displays, definitely a better display on the G8 here. All right, so let's talk about the software out of the box. You're gonna get Android 10 on the G8. I have it right now. It's a really great, very fast. You have all the dark mode and all that stuff. And on the Moto G8 Plus, you do have Android 9, so no Android 10 out of the box, which is kind of unfortunate because this is a newer phone, so you don't have it yet, but it will definitely get it. But the software experience is really great on both. Motorola has their kind of gestures built in, a lot of ways that you can make your experience a little more easier, and I really like the Moto app on here. They both have the Google Now page, which I absolutely love, so that's really awesome. But as far as software experience, they're both extremely smooth. One is just more stock Android, so it just depends on what you like. LG does throw in some customization options as well, and you also have the DTS surround sound on the G8, as well as the hi-fi quad DAC on here as well. So that is something. You do have the Dolby Atmos on the G8 as well, so I'm always looking out for music listeners. So the G8 Plus does have a really good feature for music listening. Alright, so let's talk about these specs a little bit more. So you have the 855, the Adreno 640 on the LG G8. You also have micro SD support, 128 gigs of storage, and 6 gigs of RAM. So on the Moto G8, you also have the Snapdragon 665, Adreno 610, 64 gigs of storage, 4 gigs of RAM, and micro SD support. So you're basically getting a flagship phone on the LG G8 for around the same price if you get that locked to AT&T. So performance wise, you know, the G8 is obviously faster than the Moto G8 Plus, and you can also max out games on the G8. So if you're a gamer, you're really going to be leaning towards the G8 actually for gaming instead of the G8 Plus. It's just going to be an overall better experience for you. But as far as just navigating through the OS and switching apps, the Moto G8 Plus does a really good job. So both of these guys are pretty good performers. It's just that if you're just serious about doing more hardcore stuff on your phone, then the G8 is definitely going to be the way to go with that Snapdragon 855. Alright, so let's talk about the camera setup. So you have a dual camera setup on the LG G8. It's a 12 megapixel standard and a 16 megapixel ultra wide, shoots in 4K 30 or 60 FPS. You also have the selfie camera, which shoots in 8 megapixels at 1080p. Now on the G8 Plus, you have a triple camera setup, a 48 megapixel wide, a 16 megapixel ultra wide, and a 5 megapixel depth sensor. You also can shoot in 4K 30 FPS, and the selfie camera is 25 megapixels on the front, 1080p for video recording. And on the G8's front camera, on the G8 Plus, you can actually shoot at 30 or 120 FPS, which I found to be really cool. Alright, so as far as image quality goes, I still lean towards the G8. I just think it has overall the better dynamic range and actually better color science than the Moto G8 Plus. But as you can see from these images, the G8 Plus is not a bad camera at all. When I first got the phone, I was really impressed with the camera, because Motorola is usually not known for making really great cameras in their budget smartphones. So I was really proud to see that they really improved the image processing here. So both cameras are great. Definitely go with the G8 if you just want to get the overall best shot. But if you are really considering the G8 Plus, the Moto G8 Plus, then definitely you won't be bummed with the camera. Now here's one area where the Moto G8 Plus actually I prefer. So you have dual speakers on the G8 Plus versus the one boombox speaker on the G8, and the speakers definitely sound better on the Moto G8 Plus. So I was really surprised to see that that they even had dual speakers on here. So it's just louder because you have one front facing one, and then you have one at the bottom. And yeah, the overall audio experience is just better on the G8 Plus. So both of these phones have NFC for mobile payments, which I absolutely love. And let's talk about the fingerprint scanner. So they're both on the back, and they're both extremely fast. Most physical fingerprint scanners these days are very fast, and the face unlock is very fast on both these phones as well. So you do have those, and it works just fine. So let's talk about the battery life. So you have a 4,000 milliamp battery on the Moto G8 Plus with 15 watt fast charging, and you have a 3,500 milliamp battery on the G8, and it is 21 watt fast charging. So the G8 charges faster, which is something I really appreciate being a 7 Pro user. The faster the charge is just, it just makes life better. So you do have wireless charging on the G8, so it's very convenient to be able to just drop your phone and charge it. That is not here on the Moto G8 Plus. So as far as battery life, they're both super solid battery life. I was really impressed with both of these phones. So if you're considering getting either one of these phones, battery life is not really going to be an issue. They both have really good screen on time. All right, so that pretty much wraps up this comparison. Now, if you were going to ask me, because I know somebody's going to ask you directly, I would spend my money and get the G8. I just really like the OLED display, the Snapdragon 855, just the 6 gigs of RAM. I think the cameras are just slightly better on the G8 as well. The build quality, pretty much everything. It's a flagship phone for cheap. So if you do pick it up for $200 locked on AT&T, it's a steal. Now, you might not want to spend that $260. You might want the unlocked version. You don't want to spend the $260. The G8 Plus, the Moto G8 Plus, is definitely a good alternative. It checks off a lot of the boxes for me. So which phone do you guys prefer? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.